uh, 29 June 2023. We are kind of looping our uniform. We will move from the point to stop it. We will have on mind the first thing. We could check that the illicit behavior is broadcasted. At once, inside the illicit environment, you have levels as criminality and association. Since the white collar crime, the very first step in general, passing through bondage, dominance, and submission to control your will and maybe your destiny. In some cases, you have no turning back. And finally, have the piracy as the cloned activity that can equally clone an entire system, conjuncture, or architecture. And doing the records, of course, that will be much more difficult, but the record misguided will lead to the trace in the very first moment at the wrongdoing or misuse of the power to keep the misguided thing you achieved, even as power, that in general will represent to the International Criminal Court too. In general, go by the electoral system. With failure of difference, there's no difference. If the failure leads to power, the difference is a gap between or an empty space between different sides, equally observed on records, and identical as financial fake records. Easy to trace, easy to work, will lead to the storage of somewhere by a workflow made at least by anyone and in anywhere. So we can spot the responsibility against the conjuncture with segmented institutions to be charged and regressions until chairs to be sent to jail. We are researching this 37 trillion until July 4. Results are obvious, the case is closed. You could take a look, the silence is the guideline. My coffee is horrible. Toast. I forgot, but the peel on it. Then we will check now something that we had yesterday and move forward. We had a theory on Italy as the account theory and the spine of the financial theory. The relation between debt and credit in different moments. When I have a debt, the debt got covered, the credit got covered, the debt got solved, and the situation changed. It's flawless. We had an extension area as fake records, which leads to financial and economic crimes, complained at the Interpol and others. The Federal Bureau of Investigation is a governmental agency like the CIA and others. You can, for instance, as a government, cut their resource or order to stop the investigation or the activity. The audit is independent. The IIA has no relation with the government too. So we move it, we conquer it, we will have the heads on courts. If you are doing your infiltrated activity inside the company and you perpetrate wrongdoings, you are under the control of this company. If you did self-dealing or insider trading, you will be sent to a court if it's an American company or United States of America. If you did this on IBM, you are under a trial now by self-dealing and insider trading. Did you put anyone inside as your relative? You committed nepotism. You are also under a trial, judicial in America. We will observe that goes like this. This was the relation we have. Easy to get, and you only have to trace the credit beyond the capacity as financial system. You are having the summit of central banks, consider the European central banks. Do this, the wealthy of the global system is there, and I do a huge contribution to put much more money on it. 37 trillions. But you must indeed dollar with financial penalty fees and others. But research at first, the storage do not make the bank owner of the money, but can set the bank by the continuity as associated with criminal scheme by illicit storage. If do not offer the proper info after God require. We did this, it's posted on blog risk report 2023 trace.blogspot.com. You didn't believe, and I told I will have the bank, the name of those banks. Then we will check that this relation now, we will observe that the debit and the credit can be illegal in a regular area or legal. If it's illegal, it's here for sure. Also the credit. If it's illegal, it's here for sure. The financial operation, the entire workflow is caught. Now we will move from the point of today, considering the trade and the exchanged market, including the monetary markets, to bomb them. We'll check that Brazil, we could get the entire transnational organized crime on it by the budget. Brazil has the global system, I will put as the B minus, with transactions in Brazil even as an international center of interest. It's the idea, for instance, as BRICS. And in a very first moment, you are having had yesterday the complaint of Europe. That relation with China is kind of unfair because China is always taking advantage of the European good education and high level of citizenship. But you must have in mind that Europeans in general, they are predators. And even with that face and that thing, there's a monster in each human body. In the same way, sometimes you look someone, you believe that's a person, but according with the Lombroso, and doing the optimization as from biological to psychosocial cognitive level, indeed inside that human body, there's a monkey, So, Brazil will do trade with the international system. Can be USA, can be the Europe, whatever. And here, as you can observe, the same thing. It means that, for instance, the corrupted system Brazil, with the transnational organized crime in Brazil, caught at the transnational the transcontinental transaction will be seized. This area here is out of seizure. Right? Simple to get, using the Venn diagram. Here is the same way. Brazil did something wrong as economic espionage, a lot of things. Those areas here wouldn't have any kind of situation. Right? Right. It will imply Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Did they talk something until this time? No. So they are part of the scam by side because you had this cognitive behavior with the European banks, especially on Swiss, the Credit Suisse. Right? Right. Now, the Europe will have a relation a bit more fair with China because indeed the Europe is doing transaction with Brazil that is the front head as China. See? Have a nice weekend.